Buenos tardes, amigos, from a suburb of Detroit in the basement of my home. And I just made a video. I didn't upload it yet. I'm going to upload it, and it talks about transportation in the Lake Chapala area. Now, it's for people with mobility issues and how you can get around. I didn't include the buses, but you can also use buses. It depends on what type of mobility issue you might have. Now, I want to say that I did put some emphasis on private drivers, and I want to make this video to balance it out. There are good taxi drivers in the Lake Chapala area, wherever you go. I've used them a lot more than private drivers, than a private driver. I had one private driver before, but even I could have bought a car. But when I first got there in 2019, but I had been a snowbird, and I didn't really want to buy a car yet. But I took the buses, and I really found the buses very good to use. But say you need to get into a car. You have certain mobility issues that might require being driven in a car. Taxis are great too, both private drivers and taxis, whatever you choose to use. I want to say I did use a private driver going to the airport twice. I had a friend in Chapala. She took me up to the airport, but she moved to Mexico City. She's no longer in the area. So I take taxis now again. I'm back to taking taxis up to the airport. So I usually make arrangements with taxi drivers to take me to the airport the day before. I find a taxi driver I might know, one that I feel confident that he's going to be able to show up, that he's willing to show up, and I give him a good tip. I let them know that right away. And I'll tell you what, the last couple times I went up to the Guadalajara airport before coming up to the States. Both times they were there half an hour early. So I've had good luck with taxis. I would say try taxis. Use a private driver. Taxis are also good for if you go to medical appointments, say shopping. Before I had a car, I used to take them to use taxis to go to the grocery stores. Sometimes I would ask them to wait for me if they were able to wait for me. And then sometimes I would just wait at the grocery store, call another taxi, or wait for another taxi. It depends on what you want to do. Some taxi drivers will wait for you. But private drivers, I hear, are pretty good too. I've seen people use private drivers. A lot of people like to use private drivers because there's a language barrier too. But another thing is there are taxi drivers in the Lake Chapala area that do speak English. You would have to get down there, form a relationship with the one, get to know who you might want to use, and get their cards. I made a video like that before. So I'm to the point now where it doesn't matter if I need a taxi. A taxi driver doesn't need to speak English or any English. I can use taxis with an English-speaking taxi driver, or if a taxi driver doesn't speak English. It really doesn't matter to me. But when you first get down there, if you have a language barrier, there are some taxi drivers that speak English, and you'll be able to get around. So, I want to also say buses. I didn't mention buses in the last video, or in that video, because people with mobility issues, depending upon whether you're the severity, or I don't want to say the severity, but the degree of the mobility issue one might have, you could use the buses too. Find out what's good for you. When you get down here, talk to other people, get help, and you'll find out what the best transportation for you to use. But I'll even say, if you aren't if you don't have a severe mobility issue, I've seen people use buses, those who can, and they got around really, really well. So, and then there's those local buses. They're great. They run all over the Lake Chapala area. You see me talk about them, or you've heard me talk about them in certain videos, and then you're going to find out that the direct buses are great too. So especially if you're going a long distance, the direct buses are even better because they're you won't stop, make all those stops. You just stop every now and then, and you'll get to your destination much quicker. And both buses, the Chapala buses, whether it's a local bus or a direct bus, they're very inexpensive. So with that, please look at the other video that I'm going to upload. It's not just about all that, it's even more. It talks about safety and getting around safety, is being safe while walking in the Lake Chapala area. So watch that video. Thanks for reviewing. Adios, amigos.